uses the screens to get Brooks off of him. Oh, he crossed him over. Let Brooks fly by.
That move was just disgusting, but it was a move that felt different because of who it was against. Dillon Brooks, the guy who we thought was on his way to China before the Rockets came calling. But here's the deal on the whole Steph versus Dillon Brooks thing. It goes back a ways. Like hard-nosed playoff series, lots of trash talk, and of course, the time the Grizzlies upset the Warriors in the 2021 play-in tournament, adding fuel to the fire. But you'd be a fool to think that Dillon Brooks has been the only one at the wrong end of a rage-inspired Steph performance. In fact, Steph's got quite the list of victims, whether it's players or even an entire team. Because 2 years ago, Steph was coming off a season missing the playoffs, so he was on a revenge tour for the ages. With just under 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter of a late November game that season, the Clippers found themselves in a close contest against Steph's Warriors, trailing by only 10 points. But that's when the energy of this game would slowly begin to change, because it started when Steph drove down the lane and hit a layup through contact. And you can clearly see that the man wanted a foul call. And then shortly after that, the Warriors stole the ball on the other end of the floor, and Steph came bull in China shop downhill when it clearly looked like the man got hammered. But to the surprise of everyone, no foul was called. If you look at it again, there was a ton of contact on that play. I mean, with where the NBA is today, you could even call that a flagrant. And that's exactly when Steph lost his cool, saying what up to the ref in a not so nice way as he picked up a tech. But the story doesn't end there. When Steph received the inbound pass, the Warriors were called for an offensive foul, and the look on Steph's face got even bigger as his frustration was about to boil over even more. Heck, even the Warriors announcers predicted what might unfold next.
Steph is like, okay,
man,
they're trying to hold me down. They're going to make Steph even more mad. He's going to go psycho here in a little bit. He's like, okay, I see what this is. I'm telling you, if I'm the Clippers, I'd be very afraid right now.
You could begin to sense the Staples Center growing a little paranoid, like they knew what was potentially going to transpire next. A few minutes later, Steph ripped one from 25 feet like, if you're not going to give me the calls, fine, I'll shoot him from here.
Steph eases into a deep three.
2 possessions later, he came back down, shook his defender, and nailed another 3.
Warriors are 6-1 on the road. Curry 3!
Pushing the Warriors' lead to a comfortable 15. But oh no, the drama didn't end there. Already up, Steph wanted to slam the door shut on the Clippers and even the refs. On the very next Warriors possession, Steph dribbled past half court and got hit with a double team. He drove aggressively towards the left baseline, tricking the 2 defenders thinking he would drive further, and then hit one of those contested step backs with 2 guys in his face. And that was a quick but harsh lesson for the NBA. You don't want to make Steph into a human torch, or the man will just torch you. Heck, those refs were torched when Steph mocked them by giving himself a tech. Hilarious. It's one thing to try Steph when he's older and supposedly not as good as he once used to be, but folks, let me ask you this. What in the world made a bench warmer in a gray suit think it was okay to get up and start showing up Steph Curry? In fact, Kendrick Perkins hadn't played in the NBA for over 2 years. The only thing he did all year was start a fight with Drake on the sideline. After Steph threw up a shot with the third quarter ending, he took exception to Kendrick Perkins sitting with his legs way out on the court, and Steph almost tripped when walking by, which is why he stopped and got in Perk's face. Like, that's not cool, bro. You could have hurt someone. And instead of a simple, my bad, or an apology, Perk got all defensive and the 2 guys had to be kind of separated. But the only thing that was being separated was Steph Curry from the rest of the universe, because what he did in the game from that moment on was simply all-time special. With the Dubs up 10 and the fourth quarter getting ready to start, the baby-faced assassin kicked it into another gear. Steph went maniacal with 3-pointers. Like, you can't make this stuff up. It's one of the greatest single-quarter shooting displays ever and killed any real hope that LeBron's Cavs had. 5 for 5 on 3s in 1 quarter? Easy, bro.
Yeah. So he's going to have to put it up, launches it up, shot clock. Oh, he knocks it down!
When number 30 goes off like that, you're at his mercy. Sure, Steph's trash talking isn't your typical nasty, brute style like Larry Bird, Dennis Rodman, or even Michael Jordan. But say something to him that he might not like, and trust me, you're in for one. Kind of like Ja Morant, who was doing some hooping and hollering to Steph at the end of Game 2 of the 2022 semifinals. Imagine thinking that trying to get under a former unanimous MVP's skin after just 2 games in the series is a smart thing to do. See, before I take you there, you need to hear how all this came about in the first place. There was a ton of buildup for this series because of the brewing rivalry these two teams created over the past couple of seasons. Steph remembers when the Grizzlies went days on end celebrating a play-in against Steph's shorthanded Warriors just a year earlier. Steph and company also knew that they were just 1-3 in the season series against the Grizzlies, knowing that the Grizzlies felt that they had Golden State's number. But as we know, the playoffs are a different beast, where you either flaunt your toughness or have your weakness exposed. By halftime of Game 1, Ja was already chirping at the Warriors, only adding fuel to the fire. But in the end, it was Steph who got the last laugh when he pulled off a clutch defensive stop on Ja's game-winning layup to help seal the deal. And after the Warriors won Game 1, Ja Morant supposedly said that Stephen Curry approached him and Jaren Jackson Jr. saying the series is gonna be a battle and that we're gonna have some fun. And at the end of Game 2, when the Warriors fell short and the Grizzlies came out with the W, it was Ja who relayed the same message to Steph, saying all mockingly, "We're gonna have some fun." So, who had all the fun? It wasn't the guy who strolled past Steph talking smack after Game 2, I'll tell you that much. The former unanimous MVP had to teach the young fella the right way, and started as soon as the next game when Steph was doing Steph things in a pivotal Game 3 back in the Bay.
One of this series, it got re-aggravated.
That was just the first part, because those who've seen enough of Steph Curry playing with a chip on his shoulder, they know he won't stop until he absolutely has you by the throat. And that's precisely the urgency Steph played with in Game 4 as he led the march to another Warriors W in a convincing comeback fashion, I might add.
Because in that second half, you don't go to do that. Money! Curry locked it up.
I can just give you the facts. The numbers of exactly what happened in the mode Steph Curry entered after Ja decided to take all that talking to another level. Steph was amazing for 4 straight games after the fact, scoring 105 points and sinking 15 three-pointers in the series after that very moment Ja Morant poked the bear. Better luck next time, bro. Steph has shown time and time again in the past that he doesn't need any ulterior motives to get him going. But if you do give him that extra bit of motivation, well, trash talk Steph once, shame on you. Trash talk Steph a second time, then shame on all of us. We shouldn't even be talking about this in the first place, but here's how the story went anyway. This rising Houston Rockets star tried going toe-to-toe with a seasoned pro, and he came out talking trash. Again, even after Steph owned him on a game-winning buzzer beater just days earlier.
Steph for the win. Yes, sir!
Wait, seriously? Point not taken, I guess. So, let's go for round 2, shall we? Because 9 days later, Steph was back at it again versus the Rockets, and with just a few minutes left in the third quarter, Kevin Porter Jr. got called for a foul while trying to guard Steph. And here's where it all started. Steph wasn't paying him any mind, just soaking in every moment to use it as fuel to go out and destroy the young trash talker. Steph was playing well for the first 3 quarters, a solid 19 points, nothing crazy. Oh, but I might have spoken too soon. See, that last 3 Steph hit in the third quarter was just foreshadowing some things to come. Steph entered the twilight zone with this 3-pointer around the 5:40 mark in the final period. And moments later, after a Warriors miss, Kevin Porter Jr. strolled up the court with Steph guarding him and knocked down a big 3 that cut the lead down to just a few points. And he didn't do it in silence either. He let Steph know, "F you talking about, boy?" So, how was the baby-faced assassin going to respond this time? He came right back and hit a 3-pointer of his own with Porter Jr. guarding him, and then went off for 19 points in the fourth quarter before ultimately finishing the game with a 40-piece. An explosion of scoring invoked by this very moment right here. But only true Steph fans know, going off against the Houston Rockets wasn't new for Steph Curry. Man's probably got his name on those papers somewhere saying he's at least a part owner of the Rockets at this point. But I want to take you back to 2019, when Steph and his Warriors were on a mission to capture the coveted three-peat. But on the other side were the Houston Rockets, who felt like they were a healthy Chris Paul hamstring away from winning the NBA championship a year earlier. And so, Chris Paul wanted to do anything he could to destroy Golden State's dream of winning 3 straight chips. and not allowing his rival Steph to go back to yet another NBA Finals on his watch. But just when the Rockets felt some momentum in the series, the Warriors stormed back and took Game 5 at home and secured a 3-2 series lead over the Rockets. But Houston wasn't down and out just yet because they had Game 6 back home and could potentially tie the series and force a Game 7. And that's where the series officially hit a climax. According to reports, the Warriors arena guy by the name of Eric Howson reserved the court from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. so Steph could get in his pregame workouts before Game 6. But somehow, CP3 got word of it and decided to go get shots up the same time Steph would, just so he could go and have Steph removed so that he wouldn't be able to practice. And when Steph tried telling CP3 that he'd be minding his business on the other side, CP3 apparently wasn't having any of it and had Steph kicked off the court. I mean, even for Chris Paul, who can be as petty as they come, even this was another level. This man feared Steph so much, he thought preventing him from practicing would save him from being on the other end of a Steph Curry-inspired butt-whooping. And so, for Steph, with only 10 points entering a pivotal fourth quarter, it felt like CP3 actually had gotten in his head. Steph looked completely out of it, until he wasn't. Because out of nowhere, the former MVP erupted with one of the greatest stretches of his entire career.
Curry launches a three-pointer. Puts it in. Steph with him. Curry launches a three. Puts it in again.
Steph hit some incredibly contested three-pointers that were gut punches for Houston. With the Warriors clinging to a 2-point lead on the road and just 3 minutes left in the game in this do-or-die game for Houston, Steph hit another three that felt like a dagger, with 2 Rockets players in his vicinity trying to contain him. But hold on, there's more. A few possessions later, and with the Warriors again up by just 2 points, Steph razzled and dazzled with the basketball and hit the shot that is still haunting Rockets fans today. 23 points in the final quarter after CP3 tried showing up Steph before the game and thought he could get away with it. And while walking back to the locker room after the game, "Kick me off the court again, boy." Possibly one of the greatest mic drops in recent NBA history, if you ask me. But one thing needs to be crystal clear. Yes, he's a little willowy and small compared to his peers. Yes, he's not overly emotional and isn't out there cussing. And yes, he might not look like a fighter, but the man, number 30, he's dangerous and is one of those dudes you want no part of when he's out there seeking revenge. Better luck next time.